Hello, all my friends. Welcome back or welcome to the channel. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. My name is T and this is my channel, Compass Tea and Sewing. Before we get started, why don't you go ahead and click that red subscribe button below this video if you haven't done so already. And make sure you also click the notification bell so that you can receive notifications of all my videos when I post them. All right, so let's get into the video. All right, so everyone, I am doing a pattern review of the newly released Herla Skirt pattern by Schultz Designs. This is a pattern that I tested a couple weeks ago, and I absolutely love this skirt. It features two different variations of a gathered skirt that has a beautiful yoke. So actually, there are two different yokes. So view A, the yoke for view A is designed a little bit differently than the yoke for view B, and I'll show you that here in a moment. But let me first show you the pattern cover. So this is the pattern cover here. As you can see, it's a PDF pattern, and this is a pattern that you can download on the Schultz Apparel website. So I'll put that link in the description box below, and you can go over and check this out. You have, for view A, I believe you have 7 pattern pieces, and for view B, there's 7 pattern pieces as well. So those pieces consist of a front yoke, back yoke, the front skirt piece, the back skirt piece. You have a front waistband, left back waistband, and the right back waistband. So those two separate waistband pieces for the left and the right on the back, you have those because you're going to be inserting a zipper down the center back of the garment. The garment also has a button that you're going to put on the waistband because the waistbands overlap. So I think that that's a very interesting style and design, and I'll show you a little small clip of mine here. I'll insert that here so you can see what that looks like. This pattern is a pattern that is designed for intermediate sewers. However, I think advanced beginners can sew this up if they have had some experience with putting in an invisible zipper and a button. So it is very simple and easy. The gathers on the skirts are so beautiful, and although it is very long, like the skirt, when you put all the skirt pieces together, because you're going to be cutting the front out on fold and you're going to cut out the back twice, it is very, very long. So you do have a lot to gather in, but it's so beautiful and it's so worth it. So the two different skirt options, like I said, you have skirt option A, which is a vintage inspired curve at the yoke, and it ends just below the knees. The skirt ends just below the knees. That's the version that I did. And option B is a little bit more modern with a wider yoke, and it comes in 2 different lengths. So you have a short version and you also have a long version. So the long version ends just below the knee, and the short version stop just above the knee. So this is the illustration here for views A and B. And as you can see, the yoke for A is a little bit different than the yoke for B. So it has a different design on it. So those are the illustrations there for that. I'm going to talk a little bit about measurements here in inches. If you are in the UK or if you go by the centimeters, I'll make sure that, again, I put the link in the description box below so you could go over and check out all of that in detail over there. So in body measurements in inches, the size for this is 4 to 22. And that's, again, US sizes. And for the waist, that is basically 25 3/16 for a size 4. And it goes up to, for size 22, a 39 3/8 of an inch. Now that's for the waist. Now for the hips, it's 35 7/16 of an inch for a size 4, and it goes up to a size 22, which is 49 5/8 of an inch. That's for the hips. Now the hips has a little bit more room in it. And so, and that's because the garment is fitted at the waist and the hips, but as it goes out to the hips down through the legs, it's a little bit more loose fitting. So the yoke piece of it and the waistband is supposed to be fitted, but when it stops at that hip area, that's when you're going to have like that dramatic flare out, and you'll have more room. Now for the finished measurements, for size 4, it's 25 and 9/16 of an inch, and going up to a size 22 is 39 and 3/4 of an inch, and that's for the waist. For the hips, it's 36 and 5/8 of an inch for size 4. Going up to a size 22 is 50 and 13/16 of an inch. So I selected a size 4, which is 33 and 7/16 of an inch. I feel as though I could have graded between a size 12 and a 4. A size 12 is 31 and 7/8 of an inch. My waist at the moment is measuring a little under 33, but I decided to just do a 33 just to see, what that would be like. And so for my mock-up, I chose a 100% cotton fabric that is just a muslin fabric from Joann Fabrics. And so I chose that size 33, and it fit perfectly. It was perfect. And it was the finished measurements 33 and 7/16 of an inch. So I decided to just go ahead and choose that size for my fashion fabric, not realizing that my fashion fabric had just a little bit more stretch in the fabric than the muslin fabric that I was testing. So the finished skirt is a little bit, it's not loose, it fits, but it can stand to be a little bit more tighter or form fitting at that for the waistband. So next time I definitely would choose like to grade in between the 12 and the 14, and give myself maybe a finished measurement of 32.5 inches instead of that 33 and 7/16 of an inch. So again, that was for the waist. Now for the hips, that's 44.5 inches. And again, it's really, really wide out at the hip area. My hips measure at about 40.5. So you're going to have a little bit more room down at the end of that hip area. It does have also on here measurements for the length of version A, the length of version B for the short version, and the length of for version B for the long version. So you do have that information on here too. So that way, if you want to shorten or lengthen the pattern based on the finished measurements, you can do that. Based on this pattern's design, it says that this pattern is suited for a body type of 5'6", and you could do like it says you could add or subtract about 2 inches depending on where your height is, if you are taller than 5'6" or shorter than 5'6". So I did not shorten my garment. The garment does say, the instructions does say that you, for view A, that it hits below the knee. Mine's hit below the knee. It has a 1.5 inch or 1.25 inch hem, so it's very wide. And I would say I would need to shorten it maybe an inch. So it wasn't that bad. It wasn't terrible. So I decided to just leave it because it's not that long past my knees. For the materials for fabrics, it calls for light to medium weight woven fabrics. So this is going to be your non-stretch woven fabrics. Recommended are cotton, linen, viscose, wool, or polyester. Now, as I stated before, for my mock-up, I used a cotton fabric. It's a muslin, 100%, very stiff fabric. And it sewed up like a dream. It just gave me an idea of, even though it was stiff, it still gave me an idea of what size that I would need, and how the garment would look with a linen, because linen can be very stiff as well. So I decided to choose linen. And for this project, the linen that I chose is a 100% linen fabric from Joann Fabrics. However, it is very stiff, it wrinkles a lot. So I had to take special care in order to do certain things. And I'll tell you that here in a moment after I finish telling you about the materials here. For this particular project, you need your fabric to be at least 55 inches or 140 centimeters wide. I would not go below this because especially I would not use a 45-inch wide fabric because the panels for the skirt are very wide, and that's because you're going to be gathering those skirt pieces in. So I would not choose anything below that 45 below the 55-inch wide or 140 centimeters wide fabric. For all views, you're basically going to use about 1 5/8 of an inch to 1 7/8 of an inch of fabric. It just depends on which version you choose. If you go with the long skirt for view B, you're definitely going to need that 1 7/8 of an inch, especially if you are 5'6" or taller. For other materials, like your notions, you're going to be using lightweight fusible interfacing. You need about 1/4 of a yard of that. And an invisible zipper that's 12 inches or 30 centimeters. And one button or snap that is at least 14 to 18 millimeters or 9/16 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch of a button. So it's not a huge list of notions or materials. It's just basic stuff that you probably already have in your stash. This pattern did sew up like a dream for me. Like I said, I chose view A. My skirt hit just below my knee. It's probably an inch longer than what it's supposed to be, but it has that short and lengthen line on the pattern. You can definitely shorten or lengthen your pattern depending on what your style choice is. The garment also features darts in the back of the garment, and it has a dart on the left yoke and the right yoke on the back of the garment, and that's really cool as well. It gives you some shaping back there. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the seam allowance. So she has built into the yoke part of the garment a 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. So I thought, wow, that's a lot. That's like really different. But she built that into the garment so that in the future, if you wanted to either take that out or bring that in or whatever you want to do, that you would have that room to do so in the future. But the rest of the garment is going to be sewn at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I thought that was a really interesting thing to do for this particular project. I had fun sewing this pattern. It's a beautiful pattern. I highly recommend this pattern, especially if you're someone who likes vintage styles or someone who just like really flowy, loose styles. So again, it is fitted from the waist down to the hips, but it's also very loose at the bottom as well. So it's a very unique style and I really like it. And again, I highly recommend it. So that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed the review. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And also don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And also hit the notification bell so you can receive notifications of all my videos when I post them. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, everyone, stay creative. Bye.